Why is blood group important for blood transfusion? If you have a blood transfusion, it is vital that the blood you receive is well matched, compatible, with your own. For example, if you receive blood from a person who is A positive and you are B positive, then the anti-antibodies in your plasma will attack the red blood cells, erythrocytes, of the donated blood. This causes the red cells of the donated blood to clump together. This can cause a serious or even fatal reaction in your body. Therefore, before a blood transfusion is done, a donor bag of blood is selected with the same ABO and rhesus blood group as yourself. Then, to make sure there is no incompatibility, a small sample of your blood is mixed with a small sample of the donor blood. After a short time, the mixed blood is looked at under a microscope to see if there has been any clumping of blood. If there is no clumping, then it is safe to transfuse the blood. How many tree species inhabit the Earth? Based on the latest global ground-sourced data, scientists estimate that there are 73,000 tree species globally, among which 9,000 tree species are yet to be discovered. Roughly 40% of undiscovered tree species are in South America. Moreover, almost one-third of all tree species to be discovered may be rare, with very low populations and limited spatial distribution, likely in remote tropical lowlands and mountains. These findings highlight the vulnerability of global forest biodiversity to anthropogenic changes in land use and climate, which disproportionately threaten rare species and thus, global tree richness. What are Trojan asteroids and how many of them are sharing orbit with the Earth? Trojan asteroids are small bodies orbiting around the L4 or L5 Lagrangian points of a Sun-planet system. Due to their peculiar orbits, they provide key constraints to the solar system evolution models. Currently there are more than 7,000 Trojans catalogued in the solar system. Most of them share the orbit of Jupiter. In other planetary orbits, 2 Uranus Trojans, 9 Mars Trojans, and 28 Neptune Trojans have been found to date. Regarding the orbit of our planet, for the moment astronomers know about 2 Earth Trojans. The first one is 2010 TK7, discovered in 2010, and the second is 2020 XL5, detected in 2020 but whose Trojan status was confirmed by scientists just recently. What countries have the most islands? 3 Scandinavian states are the world leaders in terms of islands being part of their national territory. Sweden is home to 221,800 mostly uninhabited islands. This number includes islands as small as 270 square feet, 25 square meters, which is about the size of a one-car garage. Finland, the runner-up, has an estimated 188,000 islands, while Norway, which rounds out the top 3, is a long way behind, with around 55,000. In general, this fact is explained by geological history and climate of these Nordic countries. At the same time, specialists point out that these island statistics can be a subject for debate, depending on the definition of an island. When did humanity realize the risks of climate change? More than 3,000 years ago, in ancient Greece, people began to debate whether draining swamps or cutting down forests might bring more or less rainfall to the region, but these documented climate change discussions had a local focus. In 1896, building up on works of other researchers, a Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius, 1859–1927, became the first person to surmise that humanity could change the climate on a global scale. In 1957, an American researcher Roger Revelle published a study, revealing that the ocean will not absorb all of the carbon dioxide released in humanity's industrial fuel emissions and that carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere could rise significantly. Since then, more studies began to appear highlighting climate change as a potential threat to species and ecosystems around the world. However, it's only at the end of the 1980s when the humanity started to take real measures facing the global challenge. What are four major concepts in science? Scientists distinguish between facts, hypotheses, laws and theories. Facts are simple, one-off observations that have been found to be true. Laws are generalized observations about a relationship between two or more things in the natural world based on a variety of facts and empirical evidence, often framed as a mathematical statement. They simply describe and don't explain phenomena. A hypothesis is a potential explanation of a narrow phenomenon. A scientific theory is an in-depth explanation that applies to a wide range of phenomena. Unlike the legislation, a scientific law is much more flexible. It can have exceptions, be proven wrong or evolve over time. How much horsepower can one horse produce? Based on the term, one may assume that a horse can produce around 1 horsepower. Linguistically, it makes sense. In reality, it's way off the mark. The maximum output of a horse is actually much closer to 15 horsepower. In fact, a more befitting name for the unit might be human power, as the average healthy person can produce just over 1 horsepower. Where did the term come from? It was coined in the late 1700s by James Watt, a Scottish engineer remembered for his steam engines. To highlight the superiority of his contraptions, he decided to compare steam engines to horses and invented a unit of measurement. Based on his observations, Watt estimated that working horses were capable of pushing about 33,000 pounds 1 foot per minute, 14,968.55 kilograms 1 meter per minute. That's how the horsepower unit was born. Watt's machines were more powerful than horses, and very few people questioned the veracity of his calculations. What is the most accurate, flat map of Earth? Various flat maps have been drawn over the centuries, but they all have the same issue. It is impossible to portray the 3D Earth on a 2D map without compromise. For instance, many 2D maps, which we used to see in textbooks and on classroom walls, depict Greenland as about the same size as Africa, when in fact Africa is 14 times larger, and contain other distortions, particularly regarding the Pacific Ocean, which looks vaster than it is in reality. In 2021, astrophysicists produced what is believed to be the most accurate flat map of Earth ever. It consists of 2 pancake maps that can be viewed side by side or back to back. Unlike other flat maps, the new circular map doesn't downsize or supersize the area of certain oceans or landmasses. This way of presenting the Earth is fundamentally different to nearly every other flat map, and it remains to be seen if it will be widely adopted for general use. Does every star have planets? The answer of astronomers is no, but they add that it is a question of whether a planet was detected near a star or not. Since 1992, when astronomers discovered the first planet outside the solar system, telescopes have spotted thousands of so-called exoplanets orbiting different stars. Scientists now know that some stars, like the Sun, as well as red dwarf stars many light years away, are home to more than half a dozen planets, while others have none. But what makes one star host so many planets while others fly solo? Scientists think it may depend on the way the star was formed. A ring of dust particles that usually surrounds young stars when they are shaping can eventually form planets. But that model is not always the case. Does the size of an image matter for remembering it? In their recent study, scientists say yes. Across experiments where participants viewed images freely without the task of memorizing them, larger images were remembered about 1.5 times better than smaller ones, and the effect was proportional to the image size. It can be explained by the fact that bigger images require more visual system processing resources. That leads to stronger registration into memory than that of smaller images processed by fewer brain resources. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more updates from Rabytfox Insight.